Before I was a cook, I was a lawyer. I've always been fascinated by the concept of justice and how it shapes society for better or worse. Singapore is famous for many things, but perhaps most notoriously for law, order, and this place, Changi Prison. It's hard to think of a foreign institution that looms notoriously in the Australian psyche. From POWs in the Second World War to Aussies on drug charges, this is a place that's right at the heart of one of the strictest punishment regimes in the developed world. No Australian TV crews have ever filmed inside Changi Prison, but Dateline has secured rare and exclusive access.
For security reasons, I can't show you the exact protocols for entering the prison, but believe me when I tell you security is tight. Certainly, I'm not allowed to bring in any phones, communication devices, weapons, valuables.
Changi is essentially 13 prisons within one complex.
Thank you.
It's a maze of doors and lifts with 5 layers of security before I get anywhere near the inmates. It's easy to see why no one has ever escaped from where I'm going.
I kind of feel like now I'm inside.
Yeah. Welcome to the correctional unit.
Ruben is the officer in charge of a correctional unit in B, a maximum security wing reserved for those convicted of the most serious and violent crimes.
Is this how the inmates come in to the correctional unit for the first time?
You mean for... No, they don't use it.
Okay.
No. I've been a prison officer for about 10 years. I've seen quite a number of inmates that have been in and out of our system. They are definitely not first-timers.
Well, there's 4 different, I guess, blocks. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, so we call them day rooms.
Yeah.
So in each day room, there's about 60 cells. So it's about 30 on one level and 30 on the other. If you look around, a lot of CCTV cameras. All of them are also linked to this control center. Okay, so my guys are actually monitoring the CCTV feeds as well. With regards to opening and closing of the doors, everything is done via the press of a button.
Bravo, can we open level 5? Level 5 LB1.
In this stark, concrete-lined setting, inmates are monitored 24 hours a day. And what the place lacks in colour, it makes up in lines, signs and rigid schedules.
So this is a televisit cubicle.
Oh, okay. So this is where they do their visits with family members, friends.
They sit here and that is their link to...
Yeah. So you have a camera, it allows you to see your family members.
And how often do they get to do this?
So it depends. By your sentence inmate, you are allowed 2 visits a month.
Okay. 2 a month.
I travel a lot and I can tell you it's... on the screen is not the same as face to face.
Of course.
Not only is physical contact with loved ones restricted, there's also no direct sunlight.
Hi, how are you?
Hi,
Adam.
Matthew, nice to meet you.
For inmates here, life is designed to meet the simplest needs of existence and nothing more.
The poster is like how we are supposed to arrange our cells. The corner of the room is where we are supposed to keep our canteen items, and then this is where we are supposed to keep our books. Right? We are given a plastic spoon for our meals, toothbrush, toothpaste, transparent. Okay, never seen a transparent toothpaste before. Soap box, and inside the box we are given 2 blankets. That's pretty much the standard issue items for inmates.
Despite the sparse conditions, first-time offender Matthew is unusually positive.
If I focus on the fact that, oh my god, it's a miserable living condition, then I will be very sad. But at the onset of my incarceration, I told myself, I'm gonna see the good in everything.
A big ask when your only bed is a bamboo mat.
Just show us, how you get ready for sleep.
I will put my stuff here, and then I will... This is how I sleep. Yeah.
So you don't even use the mat?
Pardon? I don't. Yeah. I prefer the concrete floor actually. A lot of like architectural and interior design magazines are all into like concrete screen now, right? So I fancy myself having the same thing. And it's actually more cooling if you sleep on the concrete floor.
With no air conditioning and little natural airflow, this place feels like a massive concrete oven, the walls radiating the relentless Singapore heat. While the concept of hard time is universal the world over, in Changi, it begs one question.
The conditions in here are very simple though. I see one table and bench. That's one table and bench for 40 people. Most of the inmates are sitting on a hard concrete floor. Does it need to be this harsh?
It's not harsh. I think we use the word Spartan. We feel that we are making it Spartan as a deterrent so that we don't want inmates to come back in again.
In Changi, prison officers are referred to as captains of lives, seen as not only enforcers, but key players in rehabilitating inmates.
Each one of them is a human being, so we are in the business of change. It might not succeed on the first try, second try, but our hope is that they'll be successfully rehabilitated, reintegrated into society.
Do you genuinely feel like you're in the profession of change? Because honestly, primarily you're in the business of punishment.
I guess it's two ways. So you punish them, but of course you also want to change them. So I wouldn't say they are distinct. I think they work together. So while you punish them, you also try to rehabilitate them to show them like, this is the mistake that you made. So when you go outside, you don't repeat the same mistake again.
There's a belief in Changi that the benefits of tough love and Spartan conditions extend beyond deterrence.
Hey, can we open cell 618? Can we open cell 618?
They say it creates a sense of equality amongst inmates, and it's also much harder to hide things.
It might not be feasible for you all to film the strip search.
For every inmate cell, their cell will be searched at least once a month. So what we do is we look out for contraband items, so sharp items, unauthorized medication, unauthorized messages as well. Let's check this part. This very closest, you won't be able to tell.
Where have you located items?
There are items like needles. They might attempt to put it through this hole here.
What do they use the needles for?
They might use it as a weapon because they might use it for other insidious reasons like tattooing. So they do self-tattooing within the cell itself. So a lot of it is to touch and feel to make sure that there isn't anything abnormal or out of place. It can be quite creative. But I think the procedure that we have, most of the time, I think we are able to find items that they have hidden within the cell.
Today, Emmanuel's cell is contraband free.
Did you ever have things that you shouldn't have in here?
Oh yeah.
What kind of things?
Mostly we will keep like needles, blades, and I bring pot.
The punishment for being caught with contraband or breaking the rules depends on the severity of the breach. From a loss of privileges for a minor infraction to caning for a major one.
My first time I was caned, I did tattoo in the prison when I was 17 years old.
What does it feel like?
Feel like a burning stick.
So it really hurts.
Very.
How many times do you think you've been caned in your life?
I think about 7 to 8 times.
Oh, okay. So just this time, or
this time is 7. My previous 6, another previous 6, another previous 4.
So lots of strokes of okay.
There are over 40 offences in Singapore that attract a punishment of caning. From rape and robbery through to overstaying a visa, even obstructing a train. At 41 years old, Emmanuel has spent more of his life in prison than outside it. With a body stained from jailhouse ink, scars and regret, he has a long history of drug abuse and violence.
This is really important time for Emmanuel, so I don't want to take up too much of it. They're only in here for an hour, maybe 2 per day.
Good
work out, Emmanuel?
Hey, yeah.
Do you look forward to yard time?
Yeah, there's the time that which I can do exercise in the yard, and that will build my body and keep myself fit and my mentally also.
One thing I really notice about being in here is it's a lot more airy. You can feel the wind from outside.
Yeah, we can't see the sun and we can't see the moon. We only can see the rain because everything is covered.
This is Emmanuel's 10th incarceration.
What was it that you did to be sentenced this time?
I did a causing grievous hurt, and I was on substance drug, and I was auditioned methamphetamines of 5 packets.
And so, with 10 incarcerations, you spend a lot of your life in and out of prison. Do you think the system has worked for you?
Previously, I think not so, but this time I choose to change, and I choose to listen, and I choose to learn.
To date, no amount of canings, hardship, or long sentences have deterred Emmanuel from crime.
I committed so many violent offences through my journey. I thought of changing my path, but the criminal things which I'm doing, I didn't think of stopping that.
That was until his father passed away recently.
I went for the funeral and put my respect. My own father and my idol, my favorite person in the world. I pay my respect, wearing an handcuff, go in front of him with my head bowed. So that was the time I thought I need to change my path. So that's the only part when we said that I wasted most of my life in prison from the age of 16 till now.
Singapore is a place where the cost of order is paid for in fear. With stiff penalties for minor crimes, the penal code is designed to benefit society rather than reflect the severity of the crime committed. To outsiders, it seems harsh and restrictive, but with super low crime rates, it gets results. Singapore is one of the safest countries on earth, but at what cost?
Stop, Nadi, wait. So anything, sir, for the guys?
Yeah, have a good shift, Thank you.
So what's your fun? Stop, steady, yeah.
In Changi, every day begins with a head count, better known as a muster check.
Morning. Good morning.
This is the master check, something that we do daily in the correctional unit.
Good morning.
Besides telling for the numbers, we just want to look out for any injuries, ensure the safety of the inmates, as well as enforce discipline.
Good morning. Dean to Bravo. Deruan Master 3535.
Like many menial tasks in here, meals are prepared and served by inmates.
So inmates in the morning, they will get 4 slices of bread, as well as a hot beverage. So hot beverage will be either coffee or tea. Now once it's ready, it will be served to them via the food ledge.
When you're not in prison, what's your favourite food outside?
Oh, fast food. KFC, McDonald's, then we can go to coffee shop.
What is it that you miss most about being outside?
More than just to my mother, my mom, because every morning I'll be sleeping, she will wake up me and say, excuse me, Mr. King, do you need any order? So she will ask me what you like, then she will go down early morning 7 o'clock, buy the food, put on my table.
What does the separation make you feel like? Does it make you feel sad, guilty, angry?
I think freedom and love is the priceless thing. And whatever I'm going to have outside from the day I'm released from here, I'm going to treasure it every minute, every second. And I'm not going to miss it.
Almost 60% of an inmate's daily routine is taken up by activities designed to prevent them from reoffending.
Most of us, we are stuck in the circle of violence. Normally people provoke us, we just use violence to solve the problem.
Once the antagonist, Emmanuel now helps others self-reflect and change.
Out of doing this, I learned to be very calm, and I start to talk with people in a calm tone and start to empathy on people and understand myself who I am.
Know that to convert this meter to cm, we need to times 100.
In the next room, some inmates are finishing their high school equivalency. All of this, we're told, is to empower prisoners and improve their prospects once released. A far cry from the Changi many Australians are familiar with.
My grandfather was actually interned in the old Changi prison during the Second World War.
Wow, that's long. There's a connection you have with Changi prison.
Yeah, absolutely.
Soon Tin is a superintendent in Complex B. When he started his career 2 decades ago, Changi was overpopulated and recidivism rates were around 45%.
We realized that there have been all inmates coming back into the system, and it became a revolving door. And that changes our focus and attention, and as such, we would like to invest resources on the rehabilitation of the offender with the aim to perhaps change his thinking pattern, thinking behavior, his conduct, equip him with skills that cause him to end up in prisons in the first place. The result speaks for itself. Our recidivism rate has dropped, and I think we are doing something right.
While it's obvious we're being shown the best side of the system, at 22%, Singapore's recidivism rate is currently half of Australia's. However, that doesn't equate to a shortage of new inmates entering the system.
We've had about 14 new inmates come in on this path. For many, it's going to be their first time here in Changi prison.
These men have come straight from court. Those in brown shorts are on remand and are not yet convicted of any crimes. Those in blue shorts have been found guilty and could end up in B1 with Emmanuel and Ruben.
Okay, off, turn around, face the wall. Back. Move back.
You can't show the inmates' faces for obvious reasons, but there's a real range here from very young kids, teenagers almost, over to people who are clearly in their 50s or 60s. Very, very somber. I really do get the feeling that for some of them, the gravity of where they are has just finally hit them.
Prisoners now receive their blue wristbands, and from here on, they are officially inmates. Some are clearly distressed.
Later on, as part of this admission process, so if you have any medical history or medical concern, you can ask the doctor will advise you. Okay, next.
Do you have any history for using illegal drugs like ice, heroin, marijuana?
Finally, all inmates are scanned to prevent contraband being smuggled into Changi internally.
Okay, hold the metal bar. Okay, don't move.
As the weight of lost freedom sinks in, inmates are taken to their cells. For some, it will be years before sunlight touches their skin again. For first-time offenders like Matthew, their intake was a sobering moment.
I think it was a shock. It was like oh no, like it's gonna be like this for the next few years. Yeah, I was kind of lost and really down, initially.
On the outside, Matthew was a school teacher. His first ever brush with the law landed him an 8-year prison sentence.
Can I ask, what did you do to end up here? What were you arrested for?
Okay, I was arrested for drug trafficking charges. Yeah, so in addition to consuming, I was also selling, drugs to others.
What was the volume of drugs that you were caught with?
Yeah, it's slightly less than 100 grams, yeah.
Singapore is notoriously hard on drug crime. Anyone caught with the minimum amount is presumed to be trafficking and could face up to 20 years in prison. Just having drugs in your system is enough to get you locked up for 1 year.
There are many inmates here who are serving really long sentences, and honestly, a lot of respect for them for having the mental fortitude to face their sentences, because it's really not a joke.
If Matthew had slightly more meth in his possession, he could have faced the death penalty.
Do you sometimes think about that?
Yes, I do. Because I got 8 years, right? Which to me is like pretty harsh, right, for a first timer. But when I think about it and I'm like, okay, it's not the death penalty.
There are currently around 50 people on death row. The majority are there on drugs charges. But as we'll see after the break, not all of them are hardened criminals.
They need to give a second chance to first-time committers.
And yet, in a place so legally restrictive, there are some game enough to fight back.
There's no killing quite like capital punishment, because the death penalty is murder dressed as administration.
I'm in Singapore, where I've been getting a taste of life behind bars in Changi Prison. While some inmates have been granted multiple chances, the less fortunate linger on death row, awaiting a final and irreversible fate. In the past 2 decades, the country has executed over 400 people, the majority of them on drugs charges, some of them from Australia.
Singapore today executed heroin smuggler Van Nguyen.
Because when it comes to drug crime in Singapore, leniency is in short supply.
I feel Singapore is being too strict when it comes to drug-related issues. They need to give a second chance to first-time committers.
Sankari and Angel have made a 6-hour round trip from Kuala Lumpur to visit their brother Panir on death row in Changi. He was caught with 51 grams of heroin.
At the point of time when he got caught, he was not aware that he was carrying heroin. He was thinking that was sex medicine.
Panir says he was tricked into carrying the drugs across the border from Malaysia.
Did he have any history of criminal offences before?
No, never. Not at all.
This is the first time.
He even have a certificate from Ministry of Foreign Affairs that he doesn't have any criminal record.
Do you think his punishment fits the crime?
No, it doesn't.
No, definitely not. Singapore denying his rights to have a second chance. If Singapore really concerned about the people and their safety, they should focus more on the kingpins rather than focusing on drug mules who being just a postman or courier to transfer the parcel.
Members of the media aren't allowed to speak with death row inmates, but Panir has asked Sankari to pass a message to me.
He said that I might make mistake, but still I want a second chance. How can people help me? This is what he told this morning. He said, I need a second chance. I want a second chance. I should be given a second chance.
And in this system, for people like him, there is no second chance.
Yes.
In a system that now prides itself on second chances, there's a clear unwillingness to extend them to those on death row.
Our approach for rehabilitation programs is based on R&R, which is their risk, needs and responsiveness. So if you go by that metrics, some of the things may not be available to the inmates who are on death row.
Given the success that Changi has had with rehabilitation in reducing rates of reoffence, is the death penalty still an important part of Singapore's approach to punishment?
When we talk about death penalty, we also need to look at serving the larger interests of society and not just look at the individual. And in the recent survey that we do with the public in terms of death penalty, we see a strong domestic support for the death penalty to continue for the very serious offences.
While government polls suggest the majority of Singapore supports the death penalty, there are some willing to fight against it.
It's generally quite risky to dissent in the first place. The government doesn't like activists very much, but particularly with the death penalty.
Kirsten Han leads the Transformative Justice Collective, a group fighting the death penalty in Singapore.
Today's judicial execution had prompted a candlelit vigil in the early hours and a rare public protest against Singapore government policy.
We will keep changing all the time.
So in April 2022, we had 2 protests against the death penalty here. I think there were about 400 people that came to each one. To me, it was quite a big deal because for an issue like the death penalty, which we've always been told Singaporeans either support or don't care about this issue.
The protest centred around the planned execution of 33-year-old Nagin, who was caught with 43 grams of heroin. Despite an intellectual disability and allegations of being forced into trafficking, he was eventually put to death.
I think Nagin's case really drove home how sort of cruel and dehumanizing the system is. There's no killing quite like capital punishment because the death penalty is murder dressed as administration. But as difficult as it is for us as activists, it is really nothing compared to what the families have to deal with. The Singapore Prison Service, they call themselves the captains of lives, but I think for death row prisoners, the captains of lives are the one that will send you to the gallows and to your death. And so I really hope that one day in the future, not only will the death penalty be gone from Singapore, but that future generations of Singaporeans will think about it and be shocked that we even had it in the first place.
In a country where punishment favours the benefit to society over individual rights, penalties for breaking the law can appear harsh and desperately unfair. Yet despite decades of criticism, Singapore's system has earned it a reputation as one of the safest and most efficient countries in the world. It's our last day in Changi, and in the shadow of Complex B, we're watching an annual running race. It's the 20th anniversary of the Yellow Ribbon Project, a program designed to galvanise the community and give former inmates a second chance.
We have about 10,000 runners today coming for this event to support second chances for offenders and ex-offenders. Coming here to give them hope.
Amongst the crowd is a mix of regular citizens, business leaders, and even former Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. Representing Australia is High Commissioner Alistair Cox. There's also a boy band comprised of current inmates. As the inmates in B1 aspire to the freedom outside their windows, some are determined not to be defined by the system that's controlled the best part of their lives. But for the families with loved ones on death row, there's little to look forward to.
This is a first-time offender and he has been trapped. Give them a second chance and give them opportunity to change themselves to be a better person, not denying their rights to live. You can teach them lesson, but not by pulling their life.